Hello, I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. Today we're going to talk about white daisies or Leucanthemums. Now I've chosen just the white flowering forms and the older varieties. There again has been a huge amount of breeding within this plant family to create beautiful low dwarf bedding type Leucanthemums for putting in containers, slightly taller ones with really big double flowers. There are also lovely lemon yellows, soft yellows and brighter yellows in their colorations as well. Some are taller, some are shorter, some have become more drought tolerant, so there are plenty out there for you to choose from. But I am somebody who loves some of the older varieties. So let's just have a little look at what I have got here. We'll start off with this one, which looks like your traditional marguerite. So these are the ones that you would see growing in the roadsides, especially here in the UK. This particular variety is called Maikonigin. That means May Queen. So you're thinking, well, excuse me, we're later in the summer. Why has something that has got the name of May Queen flowering later? And there's an easy answer to that. This flowers early, has a beautiful flush of flower, and if you cut it right the way back down, give a bit of water and feed, it will give you a second flowering. Beautiful wiry stems, really quite tall with the foliage all at the bottom, and it is a plant that runs around and makes a big clump. So this can go front or middle of the border, somewhere sunny, somewhere with reasonable soil, and it will be really happy. Easy to divide because all of these little pieces have got runners on it, so it's one of those plants that you can lift and divide and move around, no problem at all. If it becomes a problem, cut it back down to ground level, split it up and move it on. But it is fabulous with these wonderful single daisies. So this is something that you can put into a grass type area or into a meadow, and it would not look out of place and it would be very easy to manage. So this is Leucanthemum Maikonigin. We then move on to the more varieties that are ones which are from the garden types, and we haven't got any of the true plain single varieties. What I've got are the ones which I call bad hair day ones, let's put it that way. They've got twisted petals and they really are quite fun. Now both of these will get up to being quite tall. They will get up to around a metre, so that's about 3 feet with their stems. Their stems are quite strong. This one is Beaute Nivelloise, and Beaute Nivelloise has really fine shaggy daisy type flowers. It's an amazing one. You know, they're all over the place on this one. It will make a reasonable clump. You can see at the base here it's got little growths here. That will mean it will make a big clump and it will work really well. Now these older varieties like a good moisture retentive soil, otherwise they struggle if it is really dry. So that is Beaute Nivelloise. As you can see, very narrow, very shaggy daisy, lovely plant flowering mid-summer, and once the flowers are finished you can cut it back down. Then another form which has got this slightly shaggy but slightly more better kept type hair is Phyllis Smith. Now Phyllis Smith, the individual petals are broader than they are on Beaute Nivelloise, but you get this lovely different type of flower form, lovely big centers in there and going to be up and make big clumps. So again, full sun they prefer. They will tolerate part shade. The part shade has to be somewhere where they're in shade for half of the day, sun for half of the day, but a moisture retentive soil, easy to divide. You shouldn't need to have to stake them. They should hold themselves up. Their stems are quite solid. Then we go on to the varieties which have got slightly more double flowers on them. This is one of the older varieties. This one is Superbum Aglaia, and Superbum Aglaia has got big outer line of petals, and then it has these narrow little petals inside. It will eventually open up and show a little bit of a yellow centre there, which is where all the pollen and nectar are. So it is good for nectaring plants. They will get onto it. This makes a large clump, and again it will get up a little bit, but you can see that the flowers are quite heavy. So it does, especially if it gets wet, it will hang down a bit. So this is something that would benefit from a metal holder like so, or if you're good at weaving your birch or your hazel, you can make some very good sort of framework for these plants to grow up through, and then you will hold the plants up so that you can see them, because the flowers do get quite heavy when they are double like this, but a really good form. So that is Aglaia. Then we have this one here, which is Wirral Supreme. Wirral Supreme is probably one of the first of the ones which started to be grown with the semi-double centres. So this has got the traditional white big daisy flower, so the Shasta daisy white flower here, but in the centre, instead of being a yellow daisy, it is small petals making up this semi-double form. So this one is an old variety, it's an upright variety, really good fun. There's nothing wrong with the old varieties whatsoever, and quite often it's good to get some of these back in because they can cope with the difference in our weather systems and everything else. They used to grow years and years ago in gardens, they still grow, so they are fantastic garden plants. That is Wirral Supreme. Then the last one I've got here, which is really double, and it has changed from being just your outer big rim, so you can see when it's a younger bud, still got that outer rim, but it's full on in the centre, and it becomes this huge big pom-pom of flower right the way through. This particular one is Fiona Cog Hill. Fiona Cog Hill, I mean, it's amazing to think that it starts as quite flat like that and then goes to being, you wouldn't think it was the same flower, but that is what it does. So you get these big pom-poms, but again, they are heavy. So a little bit of help and assistance lower down the stem, holding it upright, will be a benefit in the garden itself. And again, they are plants that you can lift and divide once the clumps have become bigger. All of them will benefit from moisture retentive soil, so some soil that has had lots of organic matter added to it, and they are just cracking white daisies for the middle of the summer in your borders. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel.